Hi everybody, stay thrive and welcome back to another video. Today I will be talking about and doing a review of An Unquiet Mind. It's a memoir. Overall, I would rate this book about a 6 out of 10. The book explores the author's diagnosis and treatment of bipolar disorder, as well as her story of becoming a doctor who treats those with bipolar disorder. So some of the positives about this book is that it provides humanity for those with bipolar disorder. There's a scene where the author talks about going to a psych ward and she was on the outside looking in. At that point in time, she didn't have bipolar disorder and never even imagined having bipolar disorder. And that scene really reminded me that this could be me. You know what I mean? Like, she was just someone who happened to get it. But yeah, here's the quote from that scene. Although fascinated, I was primarily frightened by the strangeness of the patients, as well as by the perceptible level of terror in the room. Even stronger than the terror, however, were the expressions of pain in the eyes of the women. Some part of me instinctively reached out and in an odd way understood this pain, never imagining that I would someday look in the mirror and see their sadness and insanity in my own eyes. So yeah, that was the quote that really stood out to me. Like I said, I think this book does provide a lot of humanity and reminders that it could be you. The book also gave me a new perspective of the illness, how it affects those who have it, as well as those around them that they love, how they might perceive the person with the mental illness, and why many people go off treatment. I think this memoir is very important. I'm glad that she told her story because hearing her story does remove some of the stigma and fear associated with having the diagnosis, because she does talk about how, like, becoming a doctor, she was afraid to even, disclose this because she didn't want people to think of her as less than or not necessarily deserving or incapable of doing the job. But it goes to show that those who are medicated or treated can be very successful in life. But yeah, that's another thing that the author points out throughout the book is the importance of medication. And she basically says that because mental illness is a medical illness, to not treat it would be considered a form of medical malpractice. Another topic that the author discussed is societal beliefs about those with mental illness and the appropriateness of them to create life. Some people view those with mental illness as not deserving of having children. But of course, as someone with a mental illness and someone who has done very great things in her life and is successful, she does feel like, she wished she could have children. But unfortunately, her partner passed away during her childbearing years. So those were all interesting topics and points from the book that I thought were strengths. There's not that many negatives of the book that I can remember. I just don't particularly love memoirs in general. I prefer more creative stories, but I thought that this memoir was pretty good. So if you've read the book, let me know your thoughts of the book on the comments below. And I thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.